And we have arrived at 11:05. It is time for the PinPoint Health Show. You want to chime in, have an opinion, get some questions answered, man. I woke up this morning in pain. I'm going to talk to you about it.
Okay. Might be the right show for you.
It could be. 416-870-6400 star 640 on cell info at pinpointhealth.ca. And the number to get hold of Dr. Lou and his fantastic effervescent team, 1-855, you like that, 55-DRLOU. I'm still watching your videos, dude. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
Thank you.
Your social media footprint is growing.
Yes.
It's impressive.
I would like to encourage more people to follow me on social media, whether that's Dr. Lou or PinPoint Health. There's different content on both, but yet very, very similar, but all tailored towards education. The PinPoint Health stuff is more the exercise-based things, and my personal stuff is a lot more my outlook on healthcare, which is what I do every day when we're in here, or every weekend when we're here.
What's happening this week? What's been going on in the clinics?
A lot, but now I'm interested about what you were talking about. You said something, you woke up. And
it's always lower back issues, man. It's being tall, it's walking around in boots, and I work out 5 days a week, but some things I just don't think.
But do you rehab your low back?
I do, and it's all about management.
Okay.
From a weightlifting
what do you do
standpoint.
to rehab your back?
I work out, I squat, I deadlift, I do all kinds of things.
Not the right things for your low
back. I know, but if I don't do those things, I feel worse. So you exercise
is not fine. I buy that. Right. I agree with you there. But and this is a common thing that people say that work out. They say, yeah, but I do work out. But that's different than you work out the specific intrinsic muscles in your spine that provide stability. So it might be worthwhile for you to be doing a little bit more tailored specifically to those structures that provide a stability in the spine. So I do agree with you, because when you look at it, even people that do non-specific exercises, but that are general health type of exercises, often will do better with low back issues.
Right.
But if you really want to have like a steroid effect, we'll call it, you got to also do the specific exercises. So I think you're, 75% of the way there. The other thing is, your back pain overall is managed well, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so this is the thing. This is the reality of low back pain. It's a management thing, right? So you're not getting up every day saying you feel like that. Once in a while, you're saying, I feel that way, and that's part of knowing your body, treating it. Now you might take it easy a little bit. You might do some extra therapy, whatever, but you manage it, and that's the right way to deal with low back pain, because as I speak about, and as we are starting to very quickly learn, is there really is no cure for this, right? There is no, here, do this. It will never, ever bother you again for the rest of your life. There's no such thing. And so it is a weak point for humans, not just for you, for humans. And unfortunately, because of that weak point, we will succumb to problems with it. And so when we do, we have to manage it. I equally have spine-related pain like you. But again, does it ever bother me any morning when I get up? Yes, there are mornings that I get up and it bothers me. Does it bother me every morning? No. And this is where the problem lies, where you hear people saying every single day, it's bad, it gets worse, and they're doing nothing about it. And they're not even trying to do anything to help themselves. I see so many people where some of the recommendation, I was telling some of my students this, that one of the recommendations that I'll make to a lot of people is just incorporate 15 minutes of walking every day. That's how unhealthy I see some people, where they don't even move. They don't even move around.
I can't imagine it.
And they wonder why they're full of pain. It's like, to me, it's mind-boggling. Why is that such a surprise, that if you are doing nothing in terms of activity, but I'm not talking about like a structured activity. There are people that do nothing. They get out of bed, they go sit down on a couch, and they don't move. Yeah. And then they alternate between a couch and a bed for the whole day.
I would get into such a bad mental state that it would exacerbate the physical state at that point.
Well, and then there's also people, think about this, that get out of bed, sit in a car, drive to their work, sit for 8 hours, sit in a car, get home, sit for dinner, sit on the couch to watch TV, and then go to bed.
That can't be good for you.
That's not good for you. That can't be good for you. That is not good for you. I was, we were going through, I teach my students, obviously, how to go about looking at research the right way. And one of my students was interested in looking at the effects of desk jobs. And, it was pretty incredible. They found they did a large systematic review where they essentially found that the longer you sit at work, the more likely you are to have various different problems like low back pain, neck pain, carpal tunnel. And the more breaks you build in, the less likely you are to have those. And it was just like, again, we're making a joke out of it, but that's what it is. I've seen people, there's even research that looks at, well, what about just building in these breaks versus all this expensive stuff that you can do to modify your station? And again, I fully believe, and based on what I've seen, is it's about building in breaks. And I've told people, I had one lady that I can remember specifically this week that I was talking to about this, a patient, and desk job, she works at a desk. I said, how often do you get up? She's like, I get up for my lunch. I go to the lunchroom, and if I ever have to use the washroom, I'm like, and that's it. And she said, yeah. I'm like, well, I'd like you to get up every 10 or 15 minutes. She's like, that's impossible. How can I get up every 10 or 15 minutes? And the way people think of it, they think getting up means you're going on a 15-minute break. No, get up, walk around your desk, change the position that you're in. You could still be on a phone call and be standing behind your chair, right? And maybe take a few steps in that area, walk around, do the opposite.
Squat a couple times.
Stretch backwards a little bit. Squat, exactly. There are so many simple things that don't require rocket science, and somehow people think that means they might be unproductive at work. Makes no sense to me. Any student will tell you that they inherently do that when they study. They're at home, they're studying, they're getting up, they're moving around, they're taking their book with them. Just do what you inherently want to do.
More of that conversation's coming up. You want to come on in. We'd love to hear from you as well. 416-870-6400 star 640 on cell. Pinpoint House Show continues right here on Global News Radio. It is 11:16. 416-870-6400 star 640 on your cell. You have some questions about your health, your well-being. Bring them on. That's why the show is here. Pinpoint Health Show, and it is info@pinpointhealth.ca and Pinpoint Health on social. There's lots of great things to be listened to and watched on both Dr. Lou's Facebook, the Pinpoint Health Instagram as well. I watch it. I do the show with you and I watch it.
Pinpoint Health for Instagram and Facebook, and Dr. Lou for Facebook and Instagram, and I believe Twitter as well. I'm not even sure. Not sure. Don't know.
Don't even do Twitter.
Don't know.
I don't bother.
I don't think we do it either. No. I have a company that helps with this because I'm very bad at this stuff. It's not really my personality. I do believe there's a value in it, but it's hard for, if someone said, here, it's up to you, you do it all. It would not be good.
No, that would not be good. It would not be handled well.
It would be a post once every 6 months of something that I'm not sure of.
Oh, look, he's still there. Harry, thanks for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
What's going on, pal?
Well, I'm a 52-year-old, healthy male, no pain, no nothing, so why am I calling?
Yeah, good.
I would like the doctor to address stem cells and their ability to recoup the body, muscle, joints, ligaments, whatever it is.
Right.
No one seems to talk about this thing, but it's a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early on. I mean, what stem cells are, I guess for people who don't know what a stem cell is stem cells are fully immature cells, essentially. So when we're an embryo, we're essentially all stem cells, and those cells will then some will develop into nerve cells, and some will develop into blood cells, and some will develop into skin and organs, et cetera, et cetera. So they're immature, and they can essentially be developed into different types of cells, which some areas of our body always can regenerate. Like skin is a good example. You can get a cut on your skin, and then your skin regenerates. But then there's things that don't regenerate well, like nerve tissue, right? Which is why spinal cord injuries and things like that, ligaments don't regenerate so well. Muscles do a better job, right? So there are some cells naturally in the body that regenerate well, and then there are cells that don't regenerate well. And so the idea with stem cells, the original theory, and you're right, to some extent it is working for certain things, is that you are taking those cells and putting them back in and trying to have a desired effect with those things.
We can create from our own body also.
Sorry?
We can take it from our fat cell now. You can do it. You don't have to have, as opposed to everybody thinks you get them from baby cells, the placenta and all that.
Yeah,
stuff, right?
so a lot of, my wife and I just had a baby 8 or 9 months ago, and we took the cord blood for the stem cells and we preserved it because there is a value. So I'm telling you, even in my own personal life, I believe there's a value. Right. Then there's also, when you look at, I've heard, with the knee stuff that we do, there's a lot of people that are doing stem cell injections in the States. For knee osteoarthritis and trying to prevent things. that's, I think, where it gets a little bit more dicey, because like when you understand, so it's in a closed lab environment, it might work very well. So here's the example. You have knee osteoarthritis and you have a specific wear and tear pattern that's going on in that person's knee, and you have to regenerate their ligament, their meniscus, whatever, through stem cell injections. You don't change the faulty pattern of what's going on. And also when you figure what the cost benefit ratio is, like I've heard some of these injections could be $8,000 or $9,000 American. Like, you know what I mean? Like a knee replacement at that point is probably, I'm sorry?
Offshore injections cost a lot of money. We're talking $15,000 to $30,000.
And that's what I mean. So I think it's like one of those things, like, you know, once upon a time, if you wanted a plasma screen TV, they were $25,000, and now you can go get it for a couple $100, right? Yeah. So I do agree with you. I think that stem cells are going to be playing a very important role in healthcare as they progress, and as the price of them potentially comes down as they become more useful for different things. So yeah, I mean,
but morally, you're not opposed.
No, absolutely not. I think like everything, though, is there's always the right place and the right time. I'm never a fan of when something is sold as the solution to everything. Yeah, that's the problem. And that's the problem with a lot of things, not just stem cells. It's the problem with a lot of interventions when people have one tool or they do one thing and it's like, this is the solution for everything under the sun. No, that's wrong. But are stem cells going to play a role in our healthcare in specific segments and probably be the best intervention for that specific issue? Yes, 100%. I totally agree, and I'm not opposed.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you're down that way, because
thank you.
People like you in the industry of what you're doing, pain management and pain therapy, that you are the game changers.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Harry. Thanks for your call, and plenty of time for you as well. 416-870-6400, star 640 on cell. PinPoint Health continues. Global News Radio. Oh, it's a good day for Little Chicago. It's 11:24. PinPoint Health. You want to reach out anytime. Actually, now for the next half hour, 35 minutes. Would love to hear from you if you have some issues. 416-870-6400, star 640 on your cell.
I do really want to continue on that topic that we were just speaking of, because I think that is such an important thing to get across for people to understand. I think I'll be biased here for the advantage of working with me and my team. I've said this isn't the first time that I've said this on the show or that I've ever said it. It is inherently what I believe. When something is being sold as the cure for everything or the solution for everything, to me, that is simply the majority of that initiative is often financial.
Yep.
Right? Because if you are willing to say this is something that solves everything, primarily you're doing that because there's financial gain behind it.
Snake oil.
Yes. And so do those particular tools that are being sold as the cure for everything work in certain things? Yes. I am a believer that everything that we have at our disposal from a therapeutic perspective, doesn't matter what it is, does have a benefit in certain populations of people with certain things. And this is why my personal view and with what I do is I am focused mainly as a diagnostician and clinician, because I understand how important it is to match up the right intervention, therapy, modality, I don't care what you want to call it, with what the problem for that is.
Right.
And so, you know, people call and they'll say like, oh, you know, like PRP, for example. I want to get a PRP injection. It's like, calm down. What makes you think you need a PRP injection is my first question.
Because it's new, because it's trendy, it's going to work for you?
Yeah, I have knee pain and I want to get the PRP injection. But how do you know that is the right thing for your knee pain? Oh, someone else that had knee pain did it and it helped them. But how do you know your knee pain is the same as that person's knee pain? And there's so many ways when you can look at this, and it's like, and I tell people all the time, stop being your own doctors and stop. It drives me crazy when people are like, yeah, well, I talked to so-and-so and they had this. And it's like, how do you know that you have the same thing? Oh, well, we both have low back pain. Do you know how many different things can cause low back pain? Oh, but it sounds the same. Do you know how many things that sound the same could be caused by different things? This is why professionals exist, and primarily all professionals have to be diagnosticians first before they intervene with therapy. That's why when you look at medical school, chiropractic college, physiotherapy school, whatever it is, they learn the diagnostic component first before they're learning the intervention.
You've said it a million times. If you own an expensive hammer, everything becomes a nail.
A very, very easy target. Everything is a nail, and it's so true, and it drives me crazy. And I think, and I mean, I've said this on the show a lot too, and I always refer back to that because I know that this is public. You can go back and listen. They're all available. I don't care where people go. Do I want people to come to my clinics and see me? Yes, of course. Of course I do. But if people are getting the right intervention somewhere else, I have no problem with someone going to the right place. Do I care when people are going to the wrong places, the wrong people that are driven by the wrong things? Yes. And a big red flag for me, and I've talked about this before, what are the red flags that you should be worried of? One of the red flags for me is when you're going somewhere and the therapeutic intervention at that place or that person does, whatever it is only one thing. And they think that one thing can help everything. That's a red flag to me.
416-870-6400 star 640 on cell. Scott, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good, pal. What's on your mind?
I wanted some information on the PRP shot, P-shot for men.
Sure. For men or for in general?
Well, it's for men, I understand. It's called the P-shot. It's for sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction.
Using PRP?
Yes.
Yeah, well, so I'll tell you what PRP is, and then, again, PRP can be used for a lot of different interventions, and this is a good example of what I was just speaking of. So PRP is platelet-rich plasma, which is essentially you're taking someone's blood, you're putting it through a centrifuge, and you're extracting the platelets, that component of blood, and then you are taking those platelets that have anti-inflammatory properties and healing properties and re-injecting them into an area. We use it a lot at our clinic for knee osteoarthritis. Why? Number one, there's incredibly good research for that. Because what you're doing is you're taking something that has anti-inflammatory properties and injecting it into a knee that is often inflamed because of the degeneration. So it does a very good job at clearing out that inflammation. We don't say that it helps to regenerate anything or anything like that. It is not that. It is a management issue for inflammation. Now, again, you can now try to theoretically take what we know about what it does do and use that and say, well, then I guess if I could take the anti-inflammatory properties of the blood and I could take all these good nutrients, inject them into a tendon, I could theoretically make the tendon grow back stronger. Sure, theoretically, but again, we don't base intervention on theory, we base it on scientific evidence. I've not seen great scientific evidence around that. People might also say, like, if for erectile dysfunction, and again, theoretically, it can make sense, and I'm also not the right person for this, so I would encourage you to speak to probably a urologist, someone that deals specifically with that, but you could theoretically take this component of blood that has all these good nutrients, inject it somewhere, and it might have a beneficial effect towards erectile dysfunction. I don't know. That is definitely not the realm of healthcare and medicine that we deal with. We are pain management, injury management, and so we're not dealing with erectile dysfunction, and I don't know if there's good research for it, but theoretically, I could see where it goes from based on my medical knowledge, but in terms of what PRP is, it is extracting the platelets, which is a component of blood that has a lot of good stuff, and re-injecting it somewhere. So the rest, I'll leave up to you to make your decision and, do your research around that.
Scott, appreciate the call. We'll get back to more of your calls. 416-870-6400 star 640 on cell. Pinpoint Health Show continues. This is Global News Radio. 11:33 on your Saturday morning. Pinpoint Health Show. Info at pinpointhealth.ca. 1-855-55 Dr. Lou for reaching out outside of the hour of the show, but for all intents and purposes, for the next 30 minutes almost, it's 416-870-6400 star 640 on your cell. Ladine, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Listen, I just wanted to thank you so much for shedding some positive light on this topic. My husband's a GP. He's been in practice for over 30 years, and I can't tell you how much we still need to educate people. Not sure what happened in the last 10 years. I don't know if it's the debunking of vaccines and on and on and on, but I can't believe that people are willing to pay for this miracle cure. You're absolutely right. One pill cures all. And it's amazing to me what people ingest that are made abroad that we don't know what's in there, but because they're paying for it, must work.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a shame. It is a shame. And it's funny. Before the show, we were talking with Greg from his show, and Greg and I have sort of similar views, and it's really sad what's happening in the world right now, because you'll get you like, it's not uncommon to see a person who cares so much about the environment, for example, because of all the scientific evidence around pollution and what we're doing to our environment and how that's going to lead to global warming. And so they're willing to accept science on that. But then you ask them about a vaccine, it's like, oh, no, those are bad for you. Yeah. It's like, but you haven't looked at the science then. So you're willing to accept science for the things that justify your position. But when you look at science for the things that justify that position, you want to disagree.
Yeah.
And it's just funny how there's this mentality where it's self-serving. It's like, I'm going to pick everything out of society that I like that serves what I believe, but I'm not actually going to accept it if it's the opposite of what I want to believe. And so we're creating like this lifestyle so we can paint this picture of this person who's pro-environment and anti-vaccination, and it's very, very sad, because all we're doing is creating a person, and they're creating themselves to be that person, and they're not accepting the scientific evidence behind things. And then these are the people that are willing to have one pill or look for one thing that's like, yep, this is the solution to everything. This is it. And whether there's scientific evidence to that or not, or because it worked for 3 other people somewhere else in the world. Like, again, I believe in case studies. I do believe that there are things out there that we don't yet understand. And the whole reason that those things should be brought to light is so then as a scientific community, we could do research on it and look at, is there a general benefit to the masses? Like, even when we say something like vaccines, like, the research is so suggestive that it's beneficial, that we've eradicated diseases, and those diseases are now coming back because we want to accept that. Are there instances that maybe there have been adverse things because of those vaccines? Maybe. I'm willing to accept that. But can we as a society, as a group of people, as a population, as the whole world, accept something because maybe in less than 0.1% of cases it's bad? We can't make policy based on that. Policy has to be made on like, we all believe in democracy, except when it comes to these things, right?
Yeah.
So you got me going.
You're so right. No, I applaud you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We need to re-educate people, because we're so ahead with the internet. We're so ahead, but yet we're falling so behind.
Yeah.
We've got tetanus coming back. We've got measles, mumps coming back. This is insane.
It's absolutely insane.
The next generation and the next, we forget what it was in the 1940s and the 30s, how people were dying.
Well, it's because you raised such a great point. These people that do these types of things don't bother to look back in history. Right? Again, these are people, they're just self-serving, right? They also don't even think of the magnitude of, well, what if something happens, like you don't get your child vaccinated and someone else, your cousins or something that are vaccinated. Now it's more than just you. It's more than just you and your family. And then this is crazy. And these are then the same people that are sitting there saying, we should be opening our borders to everyone, which I'm not against. I'm just giving the example. But it's like, so you're willing to let everybody in. We want to help the whole world. But you can help your next door neighbor by being vaccinated. And that's where you draw the line. Exactly.
Because of one incident, and I'm not going to name names, that was debunked, and everybody jumped on the bandwagon.
Well, yeah, and everybody that is in the scientific community knows that research was debunked, and the way it was done was very poorly done, and there was financial incentive to find another answer. So, again, and this is when I teach students, when we go through finding research, there's something that we look at, the hierarchy of research, which means the best quality research. So things like randomized control trials are better than a case study. So what happens in one person is not going to be as strong evidence as if we can take large groups of people, randomize them, blind them from what they're getting, and figure out what helps. And then we can also do systematic reviews where we look at a bunch of RCTs and say, like, this is what's all being found. And one of the things that I go through is critiquing the research. Who's doing the research? What is the incentive potentially behind the research? You get all these companies that say, this is has a 95% effective rate, whatever. And it's like, well, who did that research? Oh, the company that owns it. Okay. I wonder what they were going to find.
Exactly.
You got them going, Ladine. Good times. Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that there are people like you in the world still.
Let's keep going. Someday we'll wake up and we will be.
Have your husband contact me. I'd love to speak to another professional that thinks like me.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You know, we all want clean air. What we don't want is clean air and polio. Okay, not a good combination.
And I'm to some extent being stereotypical because not everyone is like that. But I'm just saying, when you can generally paint the picture, you can almost see the person that I'm talking about. Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't make sense the way you're thinking. You're only choosing what benefits you.
416-870-6400 *640 on Sal. You got to have something to say now, right? I see Jim here. We'll get to Jim after a short break. PinPoint Health, Global News Radio. It is 11:43. It is the Dr. Payne Show. No, it's not. It's PinPoint Health. If you haven't caught on to it already, pinpointhealth.ca. I was teeing up for everybody who didn't realize.
I'm still fine with it. It's fine. You can use it interchangeably when it's done by accident.
It wasn't by accident, you knob. I'm trying to say PinPoint Health Show, pinpointhealth.ca. Get it in your head. Got Jim here. Jim, I see on the comment section here about your call. It says
tread lightly here.
Yes, immigration and diseases. Let's go easy here, Jim. What's the point you're trying to make?
Well, exactly. I will go easy, and I just wanted people to know that I'm not against immigration or anything of the sort.
Good.
Okay.
But with the vaccinations and stuff like that, if you go back to when Justin Trudeau tweeted out open border policy and stuff like that with the Canadian borders, the increase of different diseases have come about. So I'm asking, and I'm wondering if anybody could have the answer to all the illegal immigrants that are coming in here. Are they being vetted medically? Are they being put out to the public?
So let's stop there. A couple things. Number one, to suggest that diseases have gone up because of that, I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. I'm not sure, and I'll double check. So I think that's
the numbers have increased since then. Yes,
but when you look at even something like the anti-vaccination movement, that is not immigrants. That is not refugees and immigrants. That's a problem here of people who are sometimes even third or fourth generation Canadians. It's a sociological movement, right? It's not a movement based on. Sorry?
Yeah, exactly that. I agree with that.
So that might be why diseases have gone up, because more people that are Canadians that have always been in Canada just believe that vaccinations are bad. And I could tell you, based on me interacting with the general population, it's never immigrants. And when I say immigrants, I mean someone who just got here like a couple months ago or a few years ago. It's not that portion of the population.
They would actually glad to be immunized at this point.
So I think that's a big thing in terms of the political side about letting in. That's not the point of this show, number one. And when I made reference to that in the last segment, all I'm trying to bring about is the idea of a certain type of person that has certain beliefs. I was saying to John, the problem is that people are developing in a way where they want to pick and choose whatever they want to accept based on whatever is good for them and not based on evidence. And that's a problem. And so that's the picture that I'm painting. I'm saying there are people out there that are pro-immigration and let everybody in, which is fine. I agree with that, actually, but then don't want to vaccinate their kids, and they're not thinking about, well, what is the effect to the person living next door to you or going to school with your kids or whatever, or that you're interacting with on a mall, in a bus. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, be consistent at the very least in your ideologies. There's something to be said about having consistency, and when you have that inconsistency, to me, that suggests a person that's just picking and choosing simply for a selfish reason, not because they actually care. Mic drop. You still there, Jim?
Oh, so, okay, yes, I am still here. No, everything you have just said, I totally agree with.
Okay, great.
As far as the vaccination and stuff like that, and people not wanting to get their child vaccinated and stuff like that, that's absolutely horrendous because of other people within the community, schools, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I wasn't trying to bring up eye on the part of immigration and stuff like that. I will say, though, for the comment that you had just made, that your open border policy, you're all for it. Everybody come here.
Well, I'm all for it within reason. Is what I just don't want to paint myself as someone that thinks that nobody should be allowed into this country. I'm a first generation Canadian I'm the son of 2 Italian immigrants, so I believe in immigration.
Yeah, nobody says that. I'm 7th generation Canadian.
Okay.
And so throughout my family and throughout my own history, I'm 47. I have seen a lot, and I've seen a lot that has occurred. And like I said, I was not trying to put a black eye to it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But with that ideology of everybody come on in and everybody from everywhere in the country, we need to slow that down to a point where we got to see if everything is being fought through in the way of carefulness as far as illnesses, medical.
And I agree with you on that. You are absolutely right that these things do need to have standards to it. There needs to be the proper way to regulate it, because that's how problems arise when it's not regulated properly. But I'm also not an expert on that, right? Like I don't control, like I'm not an immigration lawyer.
Man. Just get rid of pain.
Well, I manage pain, man. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. But I appreciate your call, Jim.
Find those numbers and stuff like that through the Freedom of Information Acts and stuff like that. And I cannot find anything in the way of what I had spoken before about exactly what it is that they're doing at our borders for people that are coming in. And it's not to the fault of their own. It's their own governments, their own policies, their own countries that don't care enough to have them vaccinated.
Well, that's why Monday's an important day, right? And
that's the only comment I was trying to make on that one.
No, and I appreciate that. And the other thing is, when you're worried about things like that, I always tell people, if you understand what branch of government controls what certain problems that you have, like in this instance, immigration is a national issue, call your member of parliament, like your local. That's what they're there for. They are your representatives to hear your concerns. If you have a problem with health care, call your MPP and let them know. I've had lots of people that call me complaining about this or that. It's like, you're calling the wrong person. I don't implement policy. I may agree, I may disagree. I have my own personal beliefs on things. But again, my job here is related to health. And I very much, when I feel confident and I understand the scientific facts, I will make a comment. That's why I can confidently say that, yes, we should continue vaccinating our population. Right, because there is something very important in that, and it's potentially a very slippery slope.
Still some time to go. If you have a comment, if you're in pain, you want some answers, at least get the ball rolling. 416-870-6400 star 640 on your cell. Pinpoint Health Show continues. Global News Radio. It's 11:53. Last few minutes to go here of the Pinpoint Health Show. 1-855-55 Dr. Lou. Pinpoint Health on social as well. Lots of stuff to be taken in and observed and watched.
Love the political side of stuff. I love, like, specifically with healthcare, because I do think, in Canada, and we forget that healthcare is a very political thing. Like, everyone, it's free. It's not free.
It's not free.
It's not free. We pay taxes, and a lot of our money is wasted. We have a healthcare system that often wastes a lot of different things, and there are ways that it could be done better.
Just hang around an emergency room.
There's lots of places you can go hang around and see the waste that happens. It's actually insane when you actually sit down on. One day maybe we'll do a full show on this. I'm going to be down at Queen's Park next Tuesday on the 29th for an advocacy day on different things. But it's just crazy the amount of waste that happens, and people don't realize. And it's always like, we got free healthcare, and every time I hear that, I just die a little bit inside. Because it's anything but free.
Son.
It is anything but free. The amount of money that we pay in taxes for so many different things, it's crazy. And the portion of every dollar, I forget the exact stat, but it's like got to be at least 30 or 40% goes to healthcare. So every dollar of tax that we pay, something like that. I can't remember exactly, and so don't quote me. But I remember reading the number, and it is substantial. Substantial. And we can, like, anybody who is over that has a full-time job understands what taxes are. Like we were talking about before when Greg left, like when you have a 13-year-old kid talking about, we should have a tax on this, a tax on that, and they don't understand because they've never paid taxes.
Yeah, never had a full-time gig.
Yeah, and you don't understand how hard life is and how everything has gotten so much more expensive. We're not living in the same. I remember my dad bought the house that my mom still lives in for $30,000. For $30,000.
Yeah. That'll buy you a Honda.
That's an entry-level car of some sort, like the base model.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy. Detached home.
My mom took 17 years off. You want to talk healthcare and the way expenses have gone up. 17 years off to raise a kid. My dad was in the printing business.
Yeah.
4 kids.
In
North York.
Wow.
Try
in
that
North
now.
York. Yeah, right.
Good luck.
Good luck is very, very true. Crazy stuff. Anyhow, we digress with the political side of things, which is fine. It's very important. But let's get back to the healthcare side of things. What do we want to talk about?
Well, off the top, you're mentioning about just movement in general and the lack of people sitting with sedentary jobs. I just got off a short vacation, and we did quite a bit of hiking on the vacation.
Yeah, good.
And it was a group of 20, 25 people, and my own family members notwithstanding, there was a lot of people who were under 30.
Okay.
Some were close to 60, some were under 30, and it was a lot of up and down, a lot of through the trees, up 1,000 feet up, 1,000 feet down. It was great. You're out, you're breathing the good air.
Yeah.
And I was shocked the number of people that when we came down after this, and I was like, okay, let's do it again or go for a pint. Let's do something. And it's like these people were like, oh my God, my knees are killing me. I'm like, you're 22. What do you do on a daily basis?
I know.
I'm almost 50, and I could do this all over again all day. I'm not exactly a pinnacle of health. I'm okay, but
you were in Ireland, right? They walk a lot more in Europe. They walk a lot more than North Americans. And when you were saying that, I was thinking of something like I've gone to Italy to see family 6 times. I don't even remember now. And I've spent a lot of time there. And the amount of walking that happens, you often will hear, like, you think, oh, you go there. And the Italian culture, a lot of food. And so, I'm with my family and they want me to eat all kinds. Like, I've gone there and come back and have lost weight because of how much walking is involved.
You just do it.
And so if you offset like the calories that you take in with movement, just from a caloric standpoint, that's awesome. And then like you said, the other benefit of it, which is keeping our bodies moving. Just one simple thing people should understand. Most of our joints in our body are what are called synovial joints. I've said this before on the show too. That means that there's what a synovial joint is a joint that has synovium in it, which is a fluid that lubricates it. That fluid, it's sort of like a spray of WD-40 that happens. Every time it happens, when you move.
Yeah.
If you don't move, you get none of that WD-40. They dry up and they hurt.
It's the way it works.
So what should you do? You should move. How many calls have we had that people are saying the amount of pain they're in, and then when we start asking a little bit, it's like, oh, I spend all day in bed. Okay. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
You want to reach out now that we're done, please do. It's PinPoint Health on social as well. You want to call Dr. Lou, 1-855-55-Dr. Lou. We'll pick it all up again next weekend here on the PinPoint Health Show, Global News Radio.